this is Tina from ThroneMag.com, and I'm here with Mike from The Devil Wears Prada.
Hello.
What genre of music do you consider your work to be, and who are your major influences?
I always kind of say we're metalcore. I know we don't perfectly fit that, but I think it's sort of close, especially with our newer stuff is what we're aiming towards. And I don't know, as far as like influences, it's a wide range. Originally it was, and it's always been a lot of Under Oath, and Key-inspired heavier bands as well.
Right.
But nowadays it's a lot of more metal bands, and then just whatever each member listens to is what they bring to the table as far as their influences, so it's never like four bands and just go with that, Yeah, it's kind of just whatever you listen to in your own time, you bring that to what you do in the band, sort of.
How long has everyone in the band known each other, and how did you guys meet?
Well, the first three were Dan, Chris, and James. I think Dan and Chris met because of local shows. Dan and James knew each other from high school and growing up together, being in the same school. I knew Dan I met Dan in 2004, I think, maybe 2005-ish, and I kind of knew him from mutual friends, and then we started going to church together. And I knew Chris because I knew who Chris was because he actually went to driver's school, the same one I went to, and I knew James because of the last band he played in. And then when I joined, it was us four, and then Jeremy heard about us on the internet and just around the Dayton scene, and he joined and brought Andy. So some of us have known each other longer than others, but collectively it's been since the band started, which was 4.5 years ago-ish.
What are the main themes or topics for most of your songs, and do you think that they'll change over time?
I don't think they'll ever change. The principles will never change, and the foundation of the lyrics will never change, but it's always taking on new subjects. And I tried to make a point of that with the new album, and as far as writing about things that are a little bit different or things that I've never touched on before. It's never going to change because we will always be the people that we are as far as believing in God and writing songs that have that belief within it, But I don't know, there will always be new subjects. The new record, I took on things that I hadn't talked about before, as far as the first sort of political song and kind of stuff like that. So it's just mixing it up, I guess, and adding new topics.
Let's see. What is the craziest thing a fan has said, done, or given to you?
That's a tough one. That's a better question than what a lot of people ask as far as craziest tour story. I don't know. There's always been weird fans that I don't know how to answer as far as the craziest thing ever.
Yeah.
But usually the thing that bugs us most is when people either knock on the bus, ride on the bus, or invite themselves onto it. Because for us, all of us, when we were going to shows at being younger before we could drive, or just going to see your favorite band, it was always very clear that if you didn't know the guys, you don't.
Yeah.
It's very private, It's something like walking into someone's home.
Right.
And some people just really want to invite themselves, and we always try to be friendly to some extent. I never compromise my honesty.
Yeah.
But when people ask for that, you have to say no. But it's always just really awkward, and some people have been weirder than others about it, as far as and kind of getting upset if you say no.
Yeah.
But,
what are your rehearsals generally like? Is it something that you have set up each week, or do you just have spontaneous rehearsals?
Nowadays, it's really just before we head out on tour. Chris lives out on the West Coast. Jeremy and I live in Chicago, and the rest of the band is still in Ohio. So it's not you drive 10 minutes down the street and meet up and practice. It's something where people have to fly in, drive in, and all this. So it's usually nowadays just before tours. And before that, when we first started writing and we were all still living at home, it was just after school, and after work is when we would write, and when we wrote Plagues, and I don't know. Nowadays it's definitely something that needs to be scheduled out because of living so far apart and all that jazz, I guess. But usually rehearsals are just like, we just got a new practice space. I don't know if we're gonna keep it. It's really small, and then it's just going to the practice space, loading in, getting everything set up, and then just putting together a set list for the tour, or with writing with Roots Above and Branches Below. It was our old practice space, and just meeting up like 6 times a week and just going at it for a couple hours. So it's slowly changing.
What has been your biggest challenge as a band, and have you guys been able to overcome that challenge?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge is just getting along,
Yeah.
And we've been a band that have the same members since our first show. And a lot of bands switch out members, and get new dudes or whatever. But for us, I think the reason that we're able to persevere through all the troubles is because we do have the common belief, and the fact that it's not like we all have something very strong in common, and that's what keeps the band together, and I think that's what keeps the members together. But it's still always, getting pissed off at someone else, or just being agitated. I get real mad. I get mad and I get irritated really easily, and I'm real obsessive compulsive about things as far as like being clean and organized to some extent. So I get frustrated really easily with other members, and I know they all get frustrated with me, and that's just how it goes. It's just, and since being in a bus for the past couple years, it definitely makes it a lot easier too, as far as getting along and having your own space to some extent.
Right to the one that exists.